Good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 26 of the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. We are here today at Bristol Motor Speedway for the hot and spicy 250. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second. Folks, 250 laps that we are going to be expecting here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, the fastest half-mile known to man at this point in time, as we are preparing drivers to get themselves onto the racetrack and begin their qualifying runs here tonight. Already a couple drivers rather, have set down their fastest times. Aaron Smith, the 70 machine, who has shown a lot of dominance throughout this season, still showing his strengths as the season progresses on and still looking to come, well, I mean, frankly, if I was Aaron Smith, I'm looking for him to get into that double-digit wins for the season as going into turn 3 there, getting a little, that was turn 1, getting a little bit loose there. But, you know, folks, here on the iRacing service and with the camera angles that we can see, oh man, look at that. Bristol Motor Speedway is an extremely tricky track. You know, the banking that we see here, like I said, the camera angles that we get, it does not do it any justice. You can go and look at it on YouTube videos or pictures or what have you, or even looking at official NASCAR races, and any camera angle that you get, it just does not do this track justice. It's just truly amazing how steep these bankings are, these turns are, and definitely don't want to find yourselves caught up in an incident through any one of these turns here tonight. But drivers here today, they are going to have to keep things green and clean. 250 laps around Bristol Motor Speedway, and again, this is going to be a very tough race for a lot of these drivers here. I think, you know, I don't think any single driver here is going to really well, I don't want to say excel, but I don't think any driver here is going to be singled out as far as being a top contender here. We're going to have a lot of very strong drivers competing for positions here, but Bristol, it definitely challenges everyone that comes to it. So right now, Aaron Smith still has the lead at this time as far as pole is concerned, with a 14.87 as his best time around. Tony Hildebrand's 14.92, putting himself into that second place spot. Going to start on the front row going into tonight's race. Nicholas Lovell, 14.94. That's going to put him in the second row on the inside, with Jaden Hopp in that fourth place spot with a 14.97, and Benny Hogan, 14.98 as his best time here. That'll put him in the inside of row number 3. With James Miller in the 09 machine, a 14.98 equal to Benny Hogan here. They're going to start side by side in row number 3. Before we get any further into our starting order here, we're going to wait for our drivers that still have a little bit of time left to complete a time here. And there goes James Coulibaly. That's going to put him up into 11th here at this point in time, with a 15.26 as his best time here today. So he's still got one more chance as he comes across the checkered line. Is it going to be any better? And it is. 15.17 here for the 22 machine, and that's going to put him into the top 10 here tonight. And right now, only 14 drivers have put down a qualifying lap here, with about 6 drivers having stayed behind the wall. They're going to opt to start at the tail end of tonight's race, and frankly, I don't have any judgment towards that decision. You know, if I was starting a race here at Bristol, I would probably do the same exact thing. You never know what the front of the field is going to do. You never know how the action is going to kind of develop once the race goes green and you go into turn 1. Things can devolve very, very quickly, and when you allow yourself a little bit of time, a little bit of distance away from all of that carnage to A, avoid it, as well as B, keep your car on the racetrack and free of any damage at all cost. So, as qualifying has ended here today, we are going to have a few moments before we roll into our starting grid here. Just a short little warm-up session here that is utilized just in case anyone needs to get into the race session last minute. But I believe that is actually closed once qualifying, or once the practice session has actually concluded. But anyhow, moving on to our starting grid here tonight. There we see Aaron Smith starting off in the front row in the 70 machine, with Tony Hillebrands on the outside in the 92 car. Nicholas Lovell on the inside of row 2 in the 37 car. Jaden Hopp on that outside. Benny Hogan the inside of row 3 in the number 5 machine. James Miller in the 09 car taking that 6th place spot here today. Howie Briss in 7th in the 97 car. Charles Jurek taking 8th place here tonight. Scott Shire in 9th. James Gulabali taking 10th place here tonight, putting himself kind of last minute there into the top 10. Sean Williams, the 89 car, starting in 11th place here tonight, with Matthew Fitz in 12th. Moving on down the grid, we have Connor Gibson in 13th, Bill Harkins in 14th, Nicholas Corsell in 15th, Patrick Colby in 16th, Paul Mikolajczyk in 17th, William Britton in 18th, Michael Ashmore in 19th, and Howie Dietrich in 20th. Taking a very, very short lap here with the pace truck in tow before we see that dive down into pit road and the green flag drop for the very first time here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Aaron Smith, again, having come away with 9 wins so far this season, off to a great start here tonight for the Bristol Hot and Spicy 250. Tony Hillebrands, the league owner and administrator, currently 4th place in the season standing at this moment, also going to be starting off alongside Aaron Smith here as we work our way through turns 3 and 4. We're going to see that pace truck make that dive. And there it goes. Let's see if anyone's going to hold up the field here. Into the Geico restart zone we go. Aaron Smith, he is off to an excellent start here, building up that gap that you want to create here. As we come out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway, there's quite a lot of room between these drivers. Everyone giving each other a lot of space here. Benny Hogan, though, there's trouble as Jaden Hopp gets the worst end of it, gets sent up into the wall, coming out of 4. Let's go ahead and take a look at this incident. We saw Benny Hogan there start to get a little bit loose going through 3. Watch the 5 down on the inside. There he goes. It looks like he touched the bottom of the track of the racing surface, where you can see the color of the track change. That bottom half of the racetrack, it's different race surface, as well as going to be a far different temperature than the actual track itself. So when you catch yourself down there that low, iRacing is extremely unforgiving in that regard, where sometimes you just can't hold on to it. It's going to, you're pretty much along for the ride at that point. And unfortunately for Jaden Hopp here, he was just an innocent bystander in that situation, and unfortunately just happened to be on the outside of Benny Hogan, getting caught up in that. And he's going to take it down into pit road, and he is missing a whole front right tire as well as a blown engine here down in pit lane. And folks, I can't imagine that Jaden Hopp here is going to want to continue after this one. Perhaps he will. It's 250 laps. It's a long race. It's still early, but he's going to be down there for quite some time as pit crew, tries and fixes anything that they possibly can here. If it's a blown engine, I frankly don't know how long it's going to be before, or if Jaden is going to make it back out on the pit road, but we'll keep an eye on that and see if Jaden retires the 81 machine here tonight, or if he decides to make it back out. Keep on turning the laps here tonight for the hot and spicy 250, and already starting to be rather hot and spicy. Lap 5 of 250 here. Aaron Smith, Nicholas Lovell, Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrands, all going to be the top 4 here. Nicholas Lovell able to push his way up into that. Oh, what do we got going on back here? Nicholas Corcel under caution. What in the world is going on here? Bill Harkins involved in that one. Michael Ashmore as well. Okay, it looks like the field just got a little bit bunched up back there. And they just all kind of... Oh, and we can't seem to get a good angle on it either, so that's interesting. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. All right, folks, so I'm going to try and explain this as best as I can, but essentially what happened here, Nicholas Corcel, he had a little bit of a technical issue outside of, well, basically he had an internet issue. It caused his race car on track to disappear for a good chunk of time there, it seemed like, and unfortunately, not everyone else was able to be aware of when that car was going to reappear, but the green flag is back out here at Bristol Motor Speedway for the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Aaron Smith, even starting on the outside row, he's off to an excellent start here, but Howie Briss, the 97 machine, looking for a run on the outside lane here. Nicholas Lovell as well, trying to get stacked up into the mix of things. Let's take things to the wide view. Look at this field. The battle for the lead starting to get mighty intense here. Howie Briss, though, the 97 machine as well as the championship leader, taking the lead here tonight, lap 9 of 250. Side-by-side action just a little bit behind the leaders between Tony Hillbrands, James Miller, as we have a yellow flag as William Britton, the 64 car. You can see the skid marks already there coming out of turn 2. It looks to be he got a little bit sideways, possibly a little loose going through 1 and 2. Let's take a look at the replay. All on his lonesome here in the Ghostbusters machine. Oh, wow. That bit, wow. That snapped on him real bad. Let's go ahead. I want to rewind this here real quickly. And I want to take another look at that from the inside of the 64 machine, just to give you guys an idea of what that's kind of like behind the wheel. Yeah, there it is. So he knew that he was going in there a little bit too hot. You can hear the tires squealing. I'm sure that if we could see kind of the telemetry of his race car, that we would be able to see him as well, trying to get on that brake and slow that car down. But unfortunately, trying to correct the car, trying to save it and keep it in line, unfortunately caused it to snap the other direction, and away she went. So for the 64 machine, after that extremely hard hit to the wall just between, well, right in the middle of turns 1 and 2, I believe that will possibly be the end of the 64's race. And an almost identical looking race car as the 81 machine, who also had to come down into pit lane due to, well, kind of a similar looking incident here, but not necessarily the same incident in of itself, but kind of similar situation that the pit crew is going to have to look at here to get that race car back out onto the track if they choose to do so. Don Hillbrands here in the chat, as well as Thomas Sewell. Great to have you both here, as well as everyone watching tonight's broadcast. Thank you all for tuning in every single week, enjoying the action, enjoying the show here with Velocity Racing League. All the drivers, as well as myself included, appreciate it when we have friends and family and race fans alike all tuning in to enjoy share the passion of racing together. So great to have you all here. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the show, press that like button. It always helps us out, and we always appreciate it. So second caution of the race here. So far, Aaron Smith has been able to keep himself up here in the lead alongside with Aaron Smith. Or I believe with Howie Briss is actually what I meant to say there. But James Miller, Nicholas Lovell going to be in that second row with Benny Hogan and Tony Hilbrands in that third row. The lights are off on the pace truck as we get ourselves ready to go back to green flag racing. The truck making its dive down into pit lane, the green flag in hand, and down it goes once more. The 97 machine taking the same strategy that Aaron Smith took the last restart. That outside lane definitely seems to be the preferred spot to be at a track like Bristol, where you only have so much time in the straightaways to get that car moving, as well as you're kind of getting yourself set up to go into turn one when you are on that outside lane. So great work here from Howie Briss. He's going to be able to push his way even further up the lead. Let's take a look at some of the rest of the field here and see what's happening kind of towards the back end here. We'll work our way forward as things progress on. We're locked on here with Charles Jurek in the 76 Fallout, the Fallout 76 machine. Right behind Matthew Fitz in the 6-9. As we come through turns 3 and 4, the 76 down on the inside of Matthew Fitz almost makes contact with the left rear bumper of Matthew there. Great work avoiding that. You can see as well Charles, as well as many other drivers here, going to be dealing with, oh man, riding the wall there. Coming out of 2. But a lot of drivers here are going to be dealing with that same issue, having different parts of their cars getting beat and banged up, and hopefully it doesn't affect them to the point where they're too slow, essentially. Checking back in with our leaders here at this moment, and James Miller, the 09 car, has taken the lead at this point in time, and so far does not seem to have anyone kind of challenging him at this moment. Now, that could be attributed to the fact that it's still very early in this race here. It's only lap 22. You have to be in the mentality of wanting to save fuel, conserve fuel, conserve tires, so on and so forth. So when you can kind of get into a draft with another driver and you can kind of just click off laps, you don't have to worry too much about when you're going into pit, when it's all kind of second nature at that point, as we have yet another caution. And speaking of pit strategies, this is where things can kind of get interesting. So it looks to be James Coulibaly might have been the one involved in this one here. Let's take a look at the instant replay. I believe it was James here that was involved. Indeed. So let's back this up here a little bit, because it seems like we've caught the tail end of that. So, yep. Coming through out of 4. The rear end starting to get away from him, but James doing the absolute perfect thing that you can do in that situation. Just lock up your tires, get that car to a stop. And he didn't even get it to a full stop either. He kind of slowed it down enough to where he could regain control and get back to racing. So luckily no damage done. No one else getting involved in that one. No cars damaged. But unfortunately the caution did have to come out, as it did pose a danger to the drivers on the track at that moment, as someone could have ran into him pretty hard there. But luckily no one did. It was pretty calm in that part of the track there at that time. But given drivers are pulling lap times of about just over 15 seconds, you don't have a whole lot of time to sit there and wait. So when these things happen, when drivers get themselves involved in these kind of, near wrecks almost, it's good to throw that caution out, make sure everyone gets slowed down and is aware that there is a driver somewhere on the racetrack to be aware of, or drivers. Luckily, in this case, it was only one, and again, didn't get himself into the wall, didn't get himself into any other drivers. That's a perfect case scenario. Unfortunately, I mean, you're still going to be burning off probably a little bit more rubber on those tires than you would like. You're going to get those bald spots on there. Definitely not ideal. You can still race on it, but it's going to hurt your performance. It's going to hurt your lap times just a little bit. But again, not enough to warrant coming down into the pits immediately and getting a fresh set. So James Miller here taking the lead, and ironically enough, James Miller, the winner of last week's race at Five Flags Speedway, after leading 84 laps in total, the second most led of the night. Howie Briss having led the majority, well, you could almost say the second half of the race, leading 90 laps. But James Miller coming home with the win ultimately, and right now, Miller pushed his way up 2 spots in the championship since last week, so he's currently sitting in that 7th place spot, slowly but surely working his way up there into maybe the top 5. He's only got to, now that I'm looking at it, he's got quite a bit of distance to close between himself and Benny Hogan, about 239 points to be exact. So James Miller probably going to be pretty comfortable there in that 7th place spot, but there's still quite a bit of racing left. So pace truck is in. The green flag is back out here at Bristol Motor Speedway for the hot and spicy 250, and there goes James Miller. Very impressive launch here. He is going to try and increase that gap as much as he possibly can here. Much like that we've seen a lot of the leaders attempt to do here. And while it doesn't last very long because you have the whole rest of the field starting to stack up right behind you rather quickly, and right now, double file, approximately 3, looking like 3 deep right now. Ooh. Hilbrand's there, almost. A little bit too loose for comfort there. Keeping it together. Let's actually take a moment. I want to ride on board here with Tony Hilbrand's in the 92 machine, and let's take a lap on board with Tony and listen to the sights and sounds here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Excellent driving here from the 92 driver, Tony Hilbrand, as he works his way into 4th place, and now on the outside of Aaron Smith, pushing his way into turn 1, trying to duke it out for that 3rd place spot here as they continue along side by side. Tony Hilbrand's coming out on top of that battle into 3rd place, now in the top 3. Along with Benny Hogan, James Miller still leading this race at this point in time. Let's go ahead and cycle through the rest of the field here and see where the rest of our drivers stand at this point in time, taking a little bit of a wider angle as we look at the drivers coming out of turn 4 across the checkered line. We're locked on roughly here with Paul Mikolajczyk in the 38 machine. The Pierogi Bandit making his return after a few weeks not having attended some races. Great to have Paul Mikolajczyk back out here on the racetrack, racing alongside the drivers with Velocity Racing League. Great to see the 38 machine out there. Currently pushing his way up into the top 10 with Connor Gibson up on the outside. It's close between these drivers. You also got Charles Jurek, the 76 driver, just ahead of these two. Ooh, a little bit of contact to the wall from the 31 of Connor Gibson. Single file for the most part. Kind of in the top 10 at this moment. Not really a whole lot of drivers wanting to go side by side. Well, not necessarily wanting to, but just not having a whole lot of chances to, it seems like. I mean, any chance that they get, it's pretty much done and over with in probably 2 or 3 turns. Bristol Motor Speedway, a very, very fast track. I mean, while we're only seeing top speeds of about 130 miles an hour, let's call it, you're not really getting off the gas that much. I mean, if you were listening into the ride-along that we were doing with Tony Hilbrand just a little bit ago, you're getting on that gas pretty much the whole time. And the only time that you're braking is just to get yourself into the turn. And right after that, you're right back on the gas. You can almost hear it as well from this camera angle. Man, look at this scrap. Three wide going through turn. Oh, and we've made contact with Scott Shire, Nicholas Lovell, Charles Jurek. No caution. Oh, my. Oh, that is going to upset some drivers here for sure. And look at Nicholas Lovell. He is just fighting this race car right now. Oh no, Matthew Fitz. I was too busy paying attention. Oh, no. Okay, so Matthew Fitz involved. Oh, wow. Looks like we have Bill Harkins, Patrick Colby, Michael Ashmore. A few different drivers involved in this one. Let's take a look at the instant replay here. Oh, boy. There's Bill Harkins down on the inside, and there it is, the contact. Oh, man. Bill Harkins involved in that one. You can see Patrick Colby also limping his way out of that one. The number 9 machine doesn't look like he got too much damage to that. Some scrapes to the right side of the number 9 machine, but definitely not nearly as bad as some of the drivers that we've seen here tonight that have been involved in wrecks. Speaking of drivers that we've seen involved in wrecks here, let's take a look at Jaden Hopp, the 81 machine, after spending 19 and a half minutes behind pit lane. Now, folks, I understand that this is a simulation. This is not indicative of what it would be like in real life. Obviously, if you were to blow your engine in your race car, you're not going to be back out on the racetrack in 19 minutes. However, given that this is, again, a simulation and things like to be done in a little bit more of a timely manner, 19 minutes is still quite a bit of time to be sitting there waiting for the, let's just say, green light to go. And it looks like Jaden Hopp he's come right back down into pit road here as well. I'm not exactly certain what for. I don't know if there's more damage to that race car than he thought. Hopefully, I really hope that he didn't sit there for nearly 20 minutes for nothing. I really hope that he can get back out there. There he goes. Okay, so, woo. A few drivers here not having the best race here at Bristol, but it's a tough track here, folks. I mean, it's very fast. It's testing these drivers' abilities. here on a short oval, a fast short oval at that. And just with some insane banking. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the banking here at Bristol is actually steeper than that of Daytona. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. So there we see Matthew Fitz. He's going to get the wave around as we come out of turn, number 2, down the back straightaway. Lights are off on the pace truck, so once we come out of turn 4, we'll be back to green flag racing here for the hot and spicy 250 right here at virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Tony Hillbrand's James Miller starting off in the front row. James Miller, he's going to have the outside line advantage as we come out of the Geico restart zone. But Tony Hillbrand's, he is going to launch himself. Coming out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway, it's the 92 machine leading this race here now. As a long string of drivers continue to follow along single file for the most part. A few drivers going side by side with one another. You can see Charles Jurek and Scott Shire starting to do so. You also see James Miller, Benny Hogan, Sean Williams here, as well as Connor Gibson. There is trouble though for Benny Hogan, the 5 machine, the 5 Valvoline. I'm not sure if he made contact with someone there or what happened, but falling back to 12th position. Benny Hogan not going to be too enthralled with this one. Tony Hillbrand's Aaron Smith now duking it out side by side as they come across the checkered line into turn 1. Aaron Smith looking to push his way into the double-digit wins here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrand's now side by side as Aaron Smith takes the lead, and it looks like the inside line starting to play favorites here. We've seen some drivers able to make that outside line work, but now it seems like that's starting to change here. But there also, we've got to keep in mind that Tony Hillbrand's has not come down into pit road. I forgot to mention that here as well. While we were taking a look at the replays, drivers were making their way through pit lane and getting a fresh set of tires as well as fuel. Aaron Smith, Howie Briss, they're both going to be, as well as Charles Jurek actually, the top 3 all going to be on a fresh set of tires as of lap 50. Tony Hillbrand's still on the same set that we started with here tonight. Now, looking at our booth notes and taking a look at what our fuel window is going to be for tonight, drivers have about 170, 180 laps worth of fuel for the start of the race here, but 5 sets of tires behind the wall. There's a little bit of trouble happening here between Benny Hogan and Paul Mikolajczyk. Benny Hogan trying to get himself back up here into the lead. Well, not necessarily the lead, but into the top 5 at least. Paul Mikolajczyk as well trying to work his way up as many spots as he can here tonight, already up into 6th place from that 17th place spot where he started here tonight. Aaron Smith continuing to lead tonight's race, and Howie Briss closing in on the 70 driver. I almost got to wonder how long it's going to be before we see Howie retake this lead, if he's able to do so. Right now, things looking relatively promising at this moment for Aaron Smith. I mean, he's shown a lot of really good pace here. And once he's in this lead, it's pretty hard to track this guy down. And Howie Briss, another very experienced driver in the series, starting to see himself get farther and farther away from this 70 driver. Currently nearly 3/4 of a second between these two drivers at this moment. So it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Smith manages this lead, as now we have Scott Shire, Connor Gibson side by side through turns 1 and 2 onto the back straightaway. Benny Hogan, Paul Mikolajczyk, they are also nearly side by side here, giving each other quite a bit of room to work with. Paul right on the bumper of Connor Gibson out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. And man, Scott Shire, he's taken full advantage of this as well, able to work his way into the front of Connor. Now all he's got to do is just keep on pushing, as now they have Matthew Fitz, a lapped driver, currently sitting 14th at this moment. Not really slowing these guys up too much, but definitely nerve-wracking when you've got drivers that are on the lead lap trying to work their way around you on a track like Bristol. Things happen very quickly here. You don't have a whole lot of time to react. Just watching this battle here between Paul Mikolajczyk and Benny Hogan. Connor Gibson able to get himself away from the action here, as he's trailing along with Jaden Hopp, the 81 machine, who's at this point just clicking off laps, just having a good time. Thomas Sewell saying Aaron shows good pace most everywhere, and yeah, I think you hit the nail. Ooh boy, Connor Gibson into turn 1, not quite how you want to do that. Oh man, into the wall, and he has damaged that front right. Definitely has busted a few things on that 31 machine after that contact to the wall. But back to what I was saying, Thomas Sewell, yeah, Aaron Smith, I mean, this guy is an extremely fast driver, extremely talented behind the wheel of these super late models. It's extremely impressive watching Aaron just do what he does best here in behind the wheel of these things. It's incredible to see. And what's even more incredible to see is that we're starting to see the field kind of, not necessarily thin out, but really start to stretch themselves out here, and see a lot of different gaps between the field at this point in time. And I mean, speaking of gaps, Aaron Smith and Charles Jurek, there is 3 seconds separating these two guys. The last time that we were talking about Aaron Smith and Howie Briss, there was only about 3/4 of a second separating them two. So Aaron here just driving the wheels off of the 70 car and coming away strong here in close to about, not necessarily halfway, you could call it more a third at this point in the race. James Miller here that we're seeing alongside with Charles Jurek. Miller here, after he's fallen down here to 12th at this point in time. But again, get this, folks. There's still a handful of drivers out on the field that have not come down into pit road, and actually only just a few. Tony Hillbrands, James Miller, and Matthew Fitz. All 3 of these drivers have yet to come down into pits, get a fresh set of tires, get fuel, whatever the case may be. These guys are they're taking their stint here all the way until the end, until they absolutely need to. Now, what I'm really curious to see here is when these guys are going to come down for tires. Now, tires is going to be the first thing that you're going to come down for before fuel. Bristol is, unless you're very good at managing your tires, it's going to eat away at that rubber. I mean, I can't imagine that Tony or any of these drivers are going to go past, gosh, I would say maybe 120 would be probably the limit, the absolute limit. And at that point, you're pretty much riding on wires at that point, if you will, which is not going to be great. Here we've got some side-by-side actioning forming as we're actioning. I really just said that. Okay. We've got some side-by-side action forming between Nicholas Coruscant, Paul Mikolajczyk, as well as Nicholas Lovell, who Lovell at this time, again, 14th, at this moment going to be down a few laps here at this point in time, and I'm not sure. Actually, it does look like Nicholas Lovell did come down into pit roads for quite some time, about 4.5 minutes, assuming to get some damage worked out on that 37 car, and unfortunately that comes with the cost of positions as well as laps. You know, Thomas, I think all of these drivers, I think a lot of these drivers were probably banking on a couple more cautions at least. But hey, you know what? It's still early on. We're just about 30 laps before we reach the halfway point. We've had 3 cautions, 2 cautions. I can't remember now. Either way, I mean, yeah, it's great to see these long green flag runs, but sometimes it can get very tricky for drivers who want to come away with a podium, with a win, whatever the case may be. It's always tough to kind of strategize your next move when the racing is just continuously green. In these long races, you kind of have to think outside the box. So like for Aaron Smith right now, currently leading the race with about nearly, let's call it 3.5 seconds here at this point in time, and I can show that for you here on the left-hand side of your screen. Oh, we've had 4 cautions. Okay. Anywho, anyhow, there's not another caution. Don't worry, folks. But Charles Jurek, about 3.5 seconds away from Aaron Smith here. So if Charles Jurek wanted to get into the lead, he's going to have to come down early. That's pretty much going to be the name of the game. Charles is going to have to take that undercut. He's going to have to basically get himself down in and out of pit road well before Aaron Smith does, as we have another yellow flag. I'm looking to see what possibly might that have been. I'm seeing Connor Gibson down here in pit road. Let's take a look, and he's been down there for a while, though. I don't think that was the issue. Was it possibly Paul here? Okay, folks, we're doing a little bit. We're putting on our investigator cap, our detective hat. We're doing a little bit of investigating here to figure out what on earth happened. I see a little bit of smoke here. So there's James Miller. Let's back things up here just one more time. Okay, so there it is. All right. Coming through 3, Benny Hogan right on the tail of James Miller, and not exactly happening the way I was expecting it to. He tapped the right rear bumper of James Miller and sent him careening down to the bottom of the racetrack, basically. I mean, luckily for James, no other contact with the wall or drivers. Still going to come at the cost of positions here, as well as, well, I don't think laps necessarily, but luckily, not too much major damage done to the 09 car That could have turned out a lot worse. But here, Aaron Smith, Charles Jurek, Scott Shire, Sean Williams, and Howie Brisk going to round out our top 5 here. So we see a couple drivers getting ready to catch the wave around before we go back to green flag racing. And while we have a moment here under yellow, we're going to go ahead and take a short commercial break. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because we will be back for more of the hot and spicy 250 right here at virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. As the pace truck makes that dive down into pit lane and back to green flag racing we go. Aaron Smith taking no time at all here on this restart, jumping away to the front as quickly as he possibly can as drivers behind him scramble for positions here. Sean Williams pushing his way up into second place past Charles Jurek as we come out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway, heading now through turns 1 and 2. Double file for a couple drivers here. Paul Mikolajczyk making a run on the outside across the checkered line, and right on the outside of Scott Shire into 5th place at this moment. Paul Mikolajczyk absolutely working his way up here. Past Sean Williams now. He's looking to put himself up into the top 3, and it looks like he will do so across the checkered line into turn 1. A little bit of a tap there. Oh man, a misstep going through turns 1 and 2, but that is not going to stop Paul at all. And Benny Hogan here, another driver who is extremely talented at keeping himself up here in the top 5 and the top 10, or even just keeping himself, trying to come away with wins here. Benny's still in that 7th place spot right now, trailing along with Howie Brisk in the 97 car. We're about 15 laps until the halfway mark here tonight. Majority of our drivers, well actually all of our drivers now, have gone through pit road. Everyone fighting on relatively level ground. Tony Hillbrands and James Coulibaly there side by side. Keeping it real clean between these two as they try and get themselves back into the draft of the guys ahead of them. Tony almost there, tracking right along with Benny Hogan. About 2, maybe 3 car lengths, a little bit more than that probably. Yeah, about 3 car lengths between these drivers at this moment. But Tony very consistent here, just diving his way on almost every turn here, it looks like. Diving down to the inside, staying as low as he can without dipping himself to the absolute bottom of the track where it levels out, essentially. And a drag race for the lead. Coming out of turn 4. Across the checkered line. Aaron Smith, Charles Jurek side by side, and Paul Mikolajczyk giving a little bit of a bump draft here. Not necessarily a bump draft, but just staying in the draft of that 76 car as much as he can. Trying to find a spot in between these two or around them, one or the other. Whatever is going to give him the lead here. And Aaron Smith, I mean, he is putting up a fight. I want to ride on board here from the nose of Paul Mikolajczyk on the roof camera of that 38 machine, and let's just appreciate the battle for the lead here. Lap 118 of 250. Paul Mikolajczyk able to push his way up into that second place spot. Lap driver ahead of them, I believe that's Nicholas Lovell. Indeed it is, the 37 machine trying to stay out of the way of the drivers on the lead lap here. As Paul continues to track down Aaron Smith. And Aaron, I mean, really, based on timing and scoring, it almost seems neck and neck between these two. But Aaron's got just enough of an edge here to slowly increase the distance between himself and Paul. So the pace of the 70 machine, I mean, just unbeatable. Or at least seemingly so. Thomas Sewell feeling a little bit lonely in the chat. Don't worry, Tom. I'm always here to chat with you. And everyone else that's watching, I hope you guys are all enjoying the action. It seems like you are. As we continue along, about to hit that halfway mark as we cross the line. It's lap 124 of 250 of the hot and spicy 250. Side-by-side action that we're looking at between Scott Shire, Charles Jurek, Tony Hilbrand's trying to push the outside lane here along with Charles. As we come out of turn 4 across the checkered line, little bit of contact between Tony Hilbrand's and Scott Shire. Both drivers able to keep it together, though, through that one. Man, that was close. Now Howie Briss going to be alongside Tony Hilbrand's here. And Benny Hogan, all three of these drivers, I mean, all competing for spots in the championship this season. I mean, Tony Hilbrand's with that 4th place spot. Howie Briss, obviously leading the championship at this point in time. And Benny Hogan, he's in that 6th place spot. Now, for Benny Hogan, this is where things get a little bit strange. Well, a little bit difficult, rather. Benny Hogan, even if he were to get his way into 5th in the championship tonight, into Sean Williams' spot. Oh, man, as we've got some great action here. The battle for 3rd just getting hotter and hotter. But to make my point quick here, Sean Williams has 254 points before he gets himself to Tony Hilbrand's in that 4th place spot. For Tony Hilbrand's, oh boy, Howie Briss. Oh no, that was Charles Jurek actually making big contact there with the wall, slowing him down a lot more than you'd like. And oh no, Paul! Oh no, and another one bites the dust. Paul Mikolajczyk, that's going to bring the caution out. Oh, boy, that's not going to bring... That is. Okay. All right. So, remember when I said things can devolve quickly here? This is what I meant. Thomas, I appreciate you, and thank you for the kind words. Always great to have passionate fans that are tuning in and enjoying the races. It's always great. Oh, okay. I gotta back this up here. I was not focused on the incident here. Let's take this back here. Okay, so James goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. I don't think he was expecting Charles to be slow down there. Oh, boy. Okay, we got... All right, I'm sorry. I'm rewinding this one more time. Just one more time. Except we're going to slow this down. We're going to go right about there. Okay. We're going to slow this down. So there goes James Coulibaly right into the rear end of Charles Jurek. That sends him careening around. James is super slow. The 7 machine makes contact, trying to avoid it. Nicholas Corcel did everything he could. Oh, and almost avoids the rest of it, but gets caught by the front end of Charles Jurek as he was sliding around. And that's going to cause him to spin down to the bottom of turn 1. Hopefully not much more damage done to that 7 machine. But, wow. I think it's... I'm trying to recall how many drivers we've seen lose their front right tire here tonight. I think that's probably 4 or 5. Oh, boy. So, that is an interesting wreck to process. You know, and it seemed like Charles was also slowing up for Paul, who's down here in pit road, who brought up my question of how many drivers have seen their front ends, or their front right tire, get destroyed here essentially tonight. So far that number seems to be rather high. Bristol Motor Speedway definitely taking names here and not playing favorites to anyone here tonight. But Aaron Smith, on the other hand, I mean, he seems to be having a relatively good night, not really having too much struggles. Albeit he's got quite a lot of competition around him, but really haven't seen anyone give him too much trouble in this kind of mid-stage in the race here. I'm curious to see if we're going to see the likes of, Howie Briss, Benny Hogan, Tony Hillbrands, even Scott Shire, Sean Williams, who are up here in the top 3 now as well. I mean, all of these drivers extremely talented and all looking for points in the championship, what have you. Pace car is in. Pace truck is in, rather. Green flag drops here as we go through the Geico restart zone. Aaron Smith, no surprise to see that he is off to an incredible start here. Building up that gap as much as he possibly can right off the rip, and taking a look at Howie Briss, Benny Hogan duking it out side by side as we come out of turn 4, across the checkered line. Howie Briss just falling back just a little bit here as Benny Hogan, Scott Shire are going to be side by side through turns 3 and 4. Hogan here trying all that he can to work his way up here to the top 3. He's in 4th place now. He's got to trail down Tony Hillbrands, who another driver going to be looking to come away with, a top 3. A podium is always going to be nice this late in the season. I don't want to say that the points battle right now for the lead is tight, because it isn't. There's about 255 points separating Howie Briss and Nicholas Lovell for that championship spot right now. So, Howie is feeling relatively comfortable at this point in time, but frankly, for the rest of the championship, the top 3, you could say, it's game on. Nicholas Lovell, Jaden Hopp, Tony Hillbrands, very, very close to each other in points. And again, Aaron Smith, who looking to come away with a win here tonight. That's going to push him into the double digits for the wins here for the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Just an absolutely phenomenal performance this season from the 70 driver. Here, as we're taking a look out the rear view, looking over the rear bumper of the 70 machine of Aaron Smith as we come out of turn 2, heading into turn 3 now. You can see Sean Williams and Tony Hilbrands. I love this shot actually, because this kind of gives you folks at home a rough idea. Okay, now again, this is not indicative of what it's like in real life. It just does not do it justice, but this gives you an idea of what these drivers are kind of dealing with. And if you look carefully, going through the turn here, you can see how the track sort of levels off there, where the color of the track kind of changes from the gray, the whitish gray, to the dark black concrete, asphalt, what have you. Point being here is that a lot of the issues that we've seen stem from incidents tonight could possibly be from drivers dipping their tires down onto that surface and getting their cars unsteady, because you got to think about it from the point of physics, folks. You know, you get a car that's one half of it is on a slope, the other half trying to go down on a flat surface that's also a different temperature than the rest of the track. It's all sorts of bad news ensues from there. Here, as we're seeing a little bit of lap traffic from Matthew Fitz, currently in that 11th place spot. Going to be down, I believe, 2 laps at this point in time, and indeed, that is correct. So, ironically enough here, Matthew Fitz and Michael Ashmore, they are both the closest to the lead lap outside of the drivers that are currently on that. So outside of the top 10, essentially. So now we're getting another good green flag run here, it feels like. I mean, roughly we've only been back to green flag, let's say about 30 laps now. But so far it seems like drivers have gotten a fairly good grip of things and are keeping these really long, well, not necessarily extremely long, but keeping these long green flag runs going. Thomas Sewell in the chat. Sean and Howie now up in the top 5. In my honest opinion, the 2 cleanest drivers in our league. And yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree with that statement more. It's very rare. Let's say that. Very rare that we ever see Sean Williams or Howie Briss cause an incident, first off. It's almost next to none that we see these drivers cause an incident. But involved in one, that's very rare in of itself. We've seen them get. I know I've seen Sean Williams get involved in a couple wrecks here and there. I think 1 or 2 off the top of my head, but not of any fault of his own. And that's just racing. Sometimes you don't have enough time to react, and you get caught up in wrecks that you don't necessarily want to be in. But look at the battle here for second place as Aaron Smith just continues to drive away this lead. Tony Hilbrands down to the inside into second place here as Sean Williams trying to hold off the 92 driver, but going to fall back into third place here and try things again. But Tony's just launching this 92 car. I mean, he is determined to track down Aaron Smith, it seems like. Almost a half a second separating Tony and Sean Williams at this point, but almost a second and a half separating Aaron Smith from Tony here at this point in the race. So quite a long time left before we see anyone challenging Aaron Smith, unless we see that caution come back out. But I don't know. I don't think any of these drivers, well, I'm sure there probably are at least one that want to see another caution come out here and give them another chance to fight for the lead. Because, folks, when you have a driver like Aaron Smith who is just increasing their gap by a second, 2 seconds, however much it is, the more time that is added, the harder it is to try and track them down. And at that point, you might as well throw all your quarters into a wishing well and hope for the best if in that situation. Unless you're just, unless you're one of those drivers that's very experienced and knowledgeable on conserving tires, conserving fuel, and just waiting until, not necessarily the last moment, but waiting until the time is right, until you can say, all right, time to turn the jets all the way up to 100% and let's go. Sometimes we'll see that out of drivers like Howie Briss, Benny Hogan, Sean Williams, even Tony Hilbrand's. But again, when you have nearly 2 seconds, that is a lot of time to cover, and not easy, mind you. So taking a look at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see the track map and where all of the drivers are currently at this point in time. So you can see how much the field has started to spread out here in the final 75 laps of the race here. Now, I don't think, actually maybe, I don't know. I think if there is going to be another pit stop here, it's going to be one more, and it'll probably be, I would say maybe lap 230, 220, somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, we've got Michael Ashmore, the 98 car, down in the pits right now, but I don't think that's related. I think he's just having possibly some issues. Actually, maybe. I'm not sure. Not 100% sure, but. So, with that in mind here, if these guys continue with this green flag run, I mean, for Aaron Smith, it's all about just staying consistent at this point in time. He doesn't really have a whole lot to worry about, given that he's 2.25 seconds ahead of Tony Hilbrand's at this point. But Tony could very well put himself down into the pits a lap or two early, get himself out on fresh tires, on fresh fuel, and work his way up to the lead. I mean, but that's also banking on the assumption that these guys are going to make another pit stop before the end of the race here. They might not. There's a very good chance that they could, but there's also there's a good possibility that they could just stay out all the way until the end. I mean, for someone like Aaron Smith, I could definitely see that happening. Last time they came in was lap 133. It'd be close. It would be very close. But I do recall Tony Hilbrand's going nearly 100 laps before he came down into the pits. I don't recall the exact lap that he came in, but I don't know. I think there might be someone here that might be able to pull that off. Thomas Hilbrandts has mad talent, just needs to rein it in. And yeah, I agree with you. Tony's got a lot of skill behind the wheel of that 92 car. And frankly, you know, as I've mentioned in probably every single broadcast, Tony Hilbrandts is the league owner as well as the league administrator, or one of many, for the Velocity Racing League. Yeah, doing both, driving as well as managing the series, it's a lot of work. It's a lot on your mind, and sometimes, you know, balancing the two can be tricky, but Tony somehow manages to do, well, maybe not to the best that he would like, but he does a phenomenal job right now. So, huge props to Tony Hilbrandts for putting on this amazing league, this amazing series, as well as performing as well as he does week in and week out. James Miller, the 9 machine. Or no, that's Patrick Colby. You know, having two different cars on the racetrack that are, I mean, I guess they're different colors, but I see that 9 and I either assume it's James Miller or Patrick Colby. Anyhow, lap 189 of 250. Let's actually take a moment here. I want to ride on board. Ooh. We've got some good action here brewing up between Benny Hogan, Scott Shire, and Nicholas Corcel. Let's go ahead and ride on board with Nicholas and take a few laps and listen into the sights and sounds here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Lap 191 of 250 for the hot and spicy 250. Right as we were getting to enjoy some laps here, the caution flies with, none other than Aaron Smith. Oh, boy. Folks, things just got interesting. Now, I don't want to... this is going to be fun, folks. All right, so let's take a look at what happened here. We're taking a look at Aaron Smith, the 70 driver. Oh, down onto the inside of Howie Briss. Howie also down a lap. Oh, man. Tried to avoid that. Let's back this up here. Let's back this up. We got to look at this one more time. Okay, so we can see Howie Briss up top here. Now, I don't know, because you can see Howie starting to go down to that bottom lane here. I don't know if he knew Aaron was right there as he was coming out of 4 here. I think Howie thought he had a little bit more time before Aaron caught up to him. Man, and unfortunately for Aaron, there's no real way that you can tell. It's right here. While this isn't really a great view, you can, for Aaron Smith, I mean, you can kind of see that Howie is starting to slowly work his way down, and Aaron's trying all that he can. He's as low as he possibly can go. And there he goes, just a little bit too high, makes that contact, and man, that's just unfortunate. I think I don't think anyone was at fault in that situation. I think that was purely just they were both trying to keep this race going. They were trying to click off laps, and they just, oh man, they both just kind of lost their awareness there for just a brief second. And sometimes, folks, you know, in the sim racing world, that can actually be a tough thing to work with. You know, in real life racing, you have the freedom of your head. Granted, depending on what series you're racing in, that may be limited depending on the safety equipment that you are required to use. But point being is that you are able to swivel your head around, you're able to move and look at what you are trying to look at. Now, in sim racing world, things are a little bit different. There are certain technologies like Track IR that you can use to track your head movement, and you have things like VR. You can do triple monitors. Some people do projectors and TVs and all sorts of crazy madness. But anyway, besides all that, we're going to go back to green flag racing here as the pace truck makes that dive down into pit road. It's lap 198 of 250 as we cross the line. It's 199 here for the hot and spicy 250. Tony Hilbrand's going to lead this race here, and off to an incredible start as he builds up. Oh boy, Scott Shire's in trouble though. Benny Hogan as well. Oh no. Oh, Benny Hogan, that was a big hit for the 5 machine. Man. You know, folks, that right there, that sort of impact. Look at this. Bang. Oh man. That kind of impact right there in the real world would probably break your spine. It would probably break your back. Oh gosh, I want to go back and look at that again, because that was such a hard impact. We'll watch it from Benny Hogan's perspective here. Look at that, right into, oh, woo-wee. That is oh man, just brought to a complete stop too. Now, those water tower containers, whatever you want to call them, those do a good job, water barriers, if you will. Those do a good job of slowing the car down. But man, oh man, does that still... That makes my back hurt just watching it. It's not even, you know, this is just a virtual world. Thomas Sewell, Velocity Racing League is one of the best leagues in the ARCA racing on this platform. And probably one of the best, and I full-heartedly agree with that. I think out of a lot of the super late model, the ARCA racing that I've seen here on the iRacing service, I'm getting my super late models and my ARCAs mixed up. Apologies, folks. Anyhow, Velocity Racing League has by far been some of the best racing that I have seen in my time as broadcasting with Team Goon Squad. Just phenomenal drivers, phenomenal league, and phenomenal racing week in, week out. These guys and gals put in work every single week that they're racing in. Frankly, if I was looking for a league to join, if I was looking to get into ARCA racing and be with more like-minded individuals, Velocity Racing League is probably the first place that I would go. Not only do you get to drive with many talented drivers, You learn. You get to work with the with your opponents, with your teammates, to improve your craft, improve the racing, and overall bring a great experience to everyone involved. Oh, Thomas. But pace truck is in. Green flag is out. Tony Hilbrand's not taking any time at all here. He knows it is go time. Lap 206 of 250 here for the hot and spicy 250. Look at this. James Miller, Sean Williams, side by side. Aaron Smith looking down onto the inside. They're going to take it 3 wide heading into turn 1 here. Miller, oh, he's getting a little bit loose as he comes through 2. He recovers it just barely, as well as having a little bit of internet issues there. That could have gotten bad real quickly, but it didn't. We're staying green here. Still turning laps, and Aaron Smith pushed his way up into second place here tonight. Absolutely impressive work here for Aaron Smith. Starting to see the leaders get a little bit spread out here, but meanwhile, back towards 5th place, we've got quite the battle forming as Nicholas, Corcel leading this pack here in that 5th place spot. James Miller right hot on the tail. Single file here for these drivers. Lap 211 of 250. I mean, I can just feel the energy of these drivers right now, and especially for Tony Hilbrand's right now, trying to lead or stay in this lead, knowing that there's still almost over 30 laps, 35 laps left here before the checkered flag flies, and that is a lot of time on a track like Bristol. You can see Aaron Smith just trying to reel in Tony Hilbrand's here. But impressively enough here as well, you've got Sean Williams, the 89 driver. He is kind of loosely keeping up with these guys. Not necessarily reeling them in, but he's just staying up there. He's not falling off significantly. I mean, he's still within a second of Aaron Smith at this point. So Sean is, I don't know, I think at this point he's in the same boat as Tony Hilbrand's. I mean, Aaron's just doing Aaron things right now. He's not even, I don't even think Aaron is really trying right now. I'm almost convinced that Aaron's just kind of one-handing the wheel with his phone in the other and just kind of just sending it. I don't know. Aaron's just doing Aaron things. But Tony here, meanwhile, he is trying everything to keep this gap, but I don't know what Aaron is doing to close this gap lap after lap. But here he goes, taken to the outside as we come out of turn 2, excuse me. Oh, side by side as they come across the checkered line. And the 70 machine making this outside lane work for him as we come out of 4 and across the checkered line, just barely taking the lead here. As we come out of 2 onto the back straightaway, that's going to put Tony Hilbrand shuffling towards the rear end of the 70 car. Let's go ahead and actually ride on board here with Tony. Oh, whoa, okay, that was not great timing for myself. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Oh, just the slightest bit of contact to the rear bumper of the 70, and that sends him sideways. Man. And you know, well, I'm sure I can almost guarantee that was not intentional on the part of Tony Hilbrand's. You know, I think he was trying to stay in that draft. He was trying to keep himself as close as he could to the 70. You know, it's hard to judge sometimes just how much distance you actually have in front of you. I mean, you drive a car long enough, you kind of get a rough idea even in the virtual space. But man, that is, wow. But here we go. We're going to go through pit road, and this is going to shake things up just a little bit. But here's the thing to note here as well. Tony Hilbrand, he's in and out of there very quickly. And Aaron Smith, a little bit more time down in pit lane than he would probably prefer here. And that's going to put him into 8th place on this restart, as we are just about 25 laps left to go. So Howie Briss back up here in the lead with Nicholas Corcel in 2nd. Tony Hilbrand's in 3rd. Tony there with a very, very good run through pit lane, in and out as quickly as possible. He's back up there into that 3rd place spot, as well as we've got Jaden Hopp up here in the mix of things. The 81 car who we saw at the very beginning of the race get involved in a very nasty wreck going into, I believe it was turn 1, getting into the wall and smashing that front end. Blew his engine. Front right tire was missing from the car. I'm sure pit crew was very pleased to have to deal with that, but luckily enough, the 81 car is back out here on track, and he's still clicking off laps. I mean, unfortunately, not on the lead lap like I'm sure he wants to be right now. But great sportsmanship from the 81 driver, Jaden, just sticking with it, keeping himself out here, as well as all the other drivers who have stuck with it tonight and continued on. We've had quite a number of drivers check out for the night, take it behind the wall, and decide that tonight's not the night. Oh, Thomas Sewell, he is predicting a little bit of revenge, we'll call it, here for Aaron Smith to Tony Hilbrand's. And, you know, again, I don't think it was intentional on the part of Tony, but, hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to win a race. And there it is on the top left of our screen. 25 laps left to go. Pace truck making its dive down into pit lane. Out of the Geico restart zone and back to green flag racing. And oh man, Nicholas Corcel getting pushed down to the bottom, falling back a number of positions here. Aaron Smith trying to keep himself up with the pack here, side by side with Charles Jurek. Scott Shire, not necessarily slowing him up, but definitely creating an obstacle for Aaron Smith here to work his way back up into the lead. And speaking of the lead, Sean Williams, the 89 driver, taking the lead here tonight across the checkered line. 22 laps left to go here. It's James Miller and Howie Briss now side by side. James Miller, who we saw last week come home with the win at 5 Flags. Led some laps earlier in the race here and going to look to possibly put himself on the winning stand here tonight. Aaron Smith just all over the tail of Scott Shire, Tony Hilbrand's, Howie Briss. Oh no! There's contact between Briss and Hilbrand's. Matthew Fitz also getting a little bit of that there as well, with 20 laps left to go. Oh man. Let's take a look and see what happened here. Oh, so it wasn't Howie. It was actually Scott Shire who initiated it. Let's take a look here. We're going to take things into slow motion here just to get a better idea of how this unfolded. So there you see the contact to Scott Shire, and then right into the side of Howie Briss. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, the front end collides with the wall on the back straightaway. Sliding back up onto the racetrack. Nicholas Corcel barely avoiding that. Oh, James Coulibaly, Matthew Fitz. Man, and it looks like Matthew Fitz there, he was trying to slow himself down, trying to check up to the incident. Unfortunately, got himself sideways as well. And it looks to be that heartbreak for the 92 driver, Tony Hilbrands, as he's down in pit road, and I don't think he's going to be able to make it back out on track. I mean, maybe. Hopefully there's no engine damage. If there isn't, that would be great news. Still enough damage that he's going to be down there for, I mean, too long is essentially the short answer. You know, Don, I don't know what it is for the 92 Phenom Paint Shop car, but every race that we see Tony up there doing very well, something happens right in the final, it feels like always the final 20-30 laps, something catches the 92 driver, and it just, oh man, almost every time. And yeah, Thomas Sewell, that's right, it's racing. That is the nature of this sport. You win some, you lose some. Man, and sometimes it is just bittersweet. So with 15 laps left to go, it's Sean Williams, James Miller side by side, Howie Briss, Aaron Smith in the second row, Scott Shire and Nicholas Corcel in the third row. As we come down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. Pace truck is in, green flag is out, and away we go. And Sean Williams looking to lead some laps here tonight and maybe a win. James Miller following closely behind along with Aaron Smith on the outside as we go through turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4, excuse me. I keep getting those mixed up. Miller sticking down to the inside lane here. The yellow flag. Oh boy. Oh boy. That is not a sight that you want to see. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Oh, through one. Jurek. Oh, man. Oh, ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That is a rough hit. Similar to what we saw Benny Hogan get involved with, and man, Charles, the 76 machine, just like, whew. You know, like they say, folks, an object in motion stays in motion until it meets a wall. And the force of that hit. I mean, Thomas is he's staying dedicated to the race as he's outside on his deck watching the race, getting eaten alive by, well, as I like to call it, the state bird here in my home state of Michigan, the lovely mosquito. You guys are awesome. You know, the one thing that I have always found interesting in my time in broadcasting with Team Goon Squad is just how close a lot of us sim racers are to one another. You know, I never really thought or knew that there was as many like-minded individuals like myself here in, well, in the Midwest, rather. And to find out that, you know, a lot of drivers here in Velocity Racing League, as well as other leagues that I cover, are not too far away from my hometown. It's always great to see. Sean Williams, James Miller are going to be side by side on this restart. Space truck is in. Green flag is out through the Geico restart zone, and Sean Williams knows that 7 laps left to go. It's going to fly by here, but Aaron Smith knows that just as well as James Miller, and they are going to fight it out here for the lead. Look at Sean Williams. He's giving it everything he's got here, sticking it up towards the front. Aaron Smith riding the wall through turns 3 and 4. Sean Williams, impressive driving here. James Miller trying to make this outside lane work here with 5 laps left to go, but there's trouble for the 09 car. Keeps it together. Everyone fighting to get up here in the final 4 laps of the race, side by side for James Miller. Aaron Smith only inches separating them. Miller able to get up into second place. Shire right on the tail of Aaron Smith. As we come out of turn 4, across the checkered line, it's 3 laps left to go. Sean Williams with a half a second gap to second place. Sean Williams looking to come home with the win here tonight as Aaron Smith a dive down to the inside, and he snaps his way into the wall of turn 4 and brings out the caution here again. Oh no. And that engine is smoking away on the 70 car after just a brutal hit to the outside wall of turn 4. Let's take a look at the instant replay. You can see the slide here, trying to correct it, and boom, the snap. Oh, big hit to the front too. Whew. And unfortunately for Aaron Smith, I think that's going to be it for the 70 car here tonight. After an incredible run, I mean, leading, I would say, at least 80% of the race here tonight. Unfortunately, in the final few laps, going to call it an early end here for the hot and spicy 250. And Tony, I don't know if you were the one responsible for naming these races, but this was a perfect name for this race in particular. Yeah, Howie Briss keeping up there on the top side of Aaron. I mean, Howie is just, I don't know how he does it, but just keeping his car as consistent and clean as he does, it's just phenomenal. I mean, he's a wizard behind the wheel. I mean, and again, folks, Howie hasn't been a driver who's, won every single race or, been up there in the top 3 every single race, but consistency is the name of the game here for Howie in the 97 car. I mean, the driver has come away with, let's see here, he's come away with only 2 wins this season, but 4 poles, as well as 17 top 5 finishes. I don't know if there was if you had to redefine consistency, you could just put Howie Briss's 2022 VRL Cup Series season record as the definition. Because I just, and with an impressive lead of 255 points in the championship right now, I'm sure that will change just a little bit as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here. But man, Howie is just an incredible driver in this series. And there the green flag goes once again. 2 laps left to go. The last shot that anyone has to move positions or fight it out, as it looks like Scott Shire, Howie Briss are going to do so. The white flag is out. Last chance to dance, as Sean Williams looks to come home with the win here tonight for the hot and spicy 250. Coming out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway, James Miller makes contact to the wall, and he's sliding his way across the checkered line for second place. Scott Shire comes across the line for third, with Howie Briss in fourth. That will be the end of our race here tonight, as Sean Williams prepares to burn it down on the checkered line here at Bristol Motor Speedway. That is going to conclude our race here tonight. Sean Williams coming home with the win. James Miller in second. Scott Shire in third. Howie Briss in fourth. James Coulibaly in fifth. Michael Ashmore in sixth. Aaron Smith in 7th, Matthew Fitz in 8th, Charles Jurek in 9th, Nicholas Corsell in 10th place, Tony Hillebrands in 11th, Patrick Colby in 12th, Benny Hogan in 13th, Nicholas Lovell in 14th, Connor Gibson in 15th, Paul Mikolajczyk in 16th, Jaden Hopp in 17th, Bill Harkins in 18th, William Britton in 19th, and Howie Dietrich in 20th. So as we get ready for our post-race interviews, first up, we are going to have Scott Shire in the booth with us here tonight, coming home with third place in the number 4 machine. Scott Shire, welcome to the booth here tonight after, man, what a race that we had here at Bristol. I mean, it seemed like every single driver here saw at least one incident. And I mean, just battles throughout the track. Every single every single restart, I mean, it just, there was a lot of uncertainty as far as who was going to come home with the win here tonight, or even just come home with the podium in general. Scott, I mean, with all that going on tonight, what was sort of your expectations for tonight, and did it play out the way that you wanted it to?
Yeah, it was interesting. But I was trying for the win or top 3. This is my best track. But yeah, it was very interesting. I was in a couple of altercations there, but we came out with the 3rd, so I'm happy.
Absolutely, a podium's always got to put a smile on your face. And you know, coming into the night, it's kind of one of two ways. It's either going to be a caution fest, or it's going to be kind of like what we saw here tonight, where it's a good mixture of green flag runs and a couple restarts here and there. Now, you know, on this last restart with the final 3 laps to go, really, we kind of had 2 restarts there towards the end. What was kind of your mentality to, you know, keep yourself up there and avoid any of these kind of last lap wrecks, if you will?
I just knew I had to stay in front of Howie right there. I really wanted to start the top, but it still worked out. The bottom wasn't too bad tonight.
Yeah, the bottom lane here seemed to be the best one. We also seen some drivers taking that outside lane here and there. It seemed to work out on some drivers' favors, some drivers not so much. But yeah, I mean, a lot of variety tonight as far as lane options and so on and so forth. One of the interesting things that, you know, I kind of noticed here, Aaron Smith, I mean, he was able to pull off nearly 3-4 second gaps before some of these cautions. You know, seeing that or hearing that through your team radio, I mean, what sort of game plan do you kind of have to maybe work your way up to that spot, or is it kind of a lost cause at that point if the driver is that far ahead at a racetrack here like Bristol?
Yeah, kind of when you're in the back, because, I don't know, it was really hard to save tires because the top would really eat the tires up more than usual. But yeah, I don't know if we could have caught Aaron or not. He was running up there pretty good. Yeah,
and I mean, all of you guys were doing a phenomenal job tonight. And you know, with all the cautions, with all the wrecks that we saw, I mean, it was an incredible race. But Scott, I want to congratulate you on coming home tonight with a podium, with a 3rd place spot. And before I let you go here and celebrate, anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Not really. I want to thank you guys for putting on a good show, and Tony for putting on the league.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, Scott. Congratulations on your podium, and I look forward to seeing you not next week, but in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, that was Scott Shire out of the booth here tonight, coming home with 3rd place. Up next is going to be James Miller, the 09 driver, coming home with 2nd. And James, you had quite the interesting run here tonight. You led some laps earlier in the kind of first half of the race, found yourself kind of back towards the midfield and working your way up. It seemed like there towards the end, the last, let's say 30, 40 laps, you really turned on the jets there and you were working your way up through this field. Now, granted, a couple more cautions, excuse me, I lost my train of thought there. Granted, a couple cautions kind of hindered tonight's race a little bit, you know, finding different drivers kind of shuffled around the field a little bit. I mean, what was your plan tonight? I mean, it just seemed like at first it was go, and then you took a step back, and towards the end you turned it back on again. I mean, what was your game plan tonight?
I mean, that's usually how it goes. I was pushed hard at the start just to see what it was like. I couldn't get many long runs in practice, so I didn't really know what I could and couldn't do with the car. So I just pushed hard at the start, saw what worked and what didn't. And the way I looked at it was we were racing a night set and it was still daytime out, so everything was going to change. So I was just getting a feel for it. Tried to save a set of tires, which was useless because I never used them. So I should have put them on anyways. But I went that 50 laps, the first 50. pretty much, but pushing pretty hard, and it definitely going the next 50 was a killer. Lost a lap because of that. So then I just rode around, saw what I could, try to find a decent line where I could kind of save tires and keep momentum. I never really found that, and I have no long run speed at Bristol. But yeah, I managed to just kind of, as it all worked out with all the wrecks, got my lap back, and I was like sitting 9th or something, so didn't have many positions to go, and just slowly picked everyone off and got cautions kind of at the right time and enough, I guess, wreck avoidance. Somehow managed a 0x, and I'm sure I should have like 6, but yeah, I didn't really have a strategy, but it all worked out pretty much.
Well, I mean, hey, sometimes that's the best strategy, is to not have one at all, right? But I mean, James, let's talk about Aaron Smith here for a second. Now, before let's see here. Before I think it was the second to last caution, Aaron Smith, I mean, he had to work his way back up from, I think it was about 9th or 10th place. He was leading there for a little bit, and all of a sudden, Tony Hillbrand's right into the rear end of him, sends him down into the bottom wall. That's the end of the 70s race here. Now, do you think, had Aaron Smith not wrecked in that moment, do you think he would still be up here in that second place spot, or do you think he would have been scrapping alongside with Sean Williams for a second or a third place spot?
Well, he definitely had a ton of speed. I mean, he always does. And just before that, yeah, I was still battling him. I cracked the wall, and it knocked the toe out, and it just tightened the whole car up, which is not ideal at the end there. And with that, I couldn't get a good start. Couldn't get good restarts with the new restart rule. I'm too worried I'm just gonna black flag myself. So I can never get a good start to stay side by side with the leader. So I feel like if Aaron was still there, yeah, he probably would have passed me. He probably would have tried to make a move around Sean. Honestly, I think there was just not enough laps. I think Sean would have had it, but it would have been interesting to see for sure. But my plan was just to stay door to door with Sean. If Aaron tried to make it 3 wide, I figured I can maybe roll the top enough to get it to work, and hope maybe we all stay 3 wide, so Aaron would have to take the really tight way around. But that wasn't the case, and I couldn't even stay beside Sean. So tried a little bit at the end there, but again, with how tight it was, I was hoping to build a run off of turn 2 on the last lap to just kind of maybe cut under him into 3, but I didn't want to wreck him, so it would have been play it by how close I could get to him, but I never got the run. So but hey, it was good. Got second, can't complain about that, and happy that Sean won.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, coming into a race and just going with the flow of things and coming home with the podium, I can't be mad at that. But James, congratulations on your second place finish here tonight. And before I let you go and celebrate with your teammates and with the rest of the league, is there anyone that you want to shout out and thank before you go here tonight?
Yeah, just thanks to Team AV, to you for the broadcasters, Tony for the league, and the viewers who watch the stream weekly and cheer us virtual drivers on.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me up here, James, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Alrighty, folks, that was James Miller out of the booth, coming home with second place here tonight. And before we move on to our race winner, we've got a request to throw a attaboy out to the 98 driver of Michael Ashmore. And I'm assuming that is because Michael Ashmore, the 98 driver, moving his way up 13 positions from where he started here tonight, all the way up into 6th place. Great work from Michael Ashmore. Attaboy. Moving on to our race winner here tonight, Sean Williams, the 89 machine, coming across the line with the win, and kind of in the last moments of the race. I mean, Sean, you were gunning for, it seemed like, whether it was a podium, a top 5, you were up there. All race long.
Oh man, Mason. Oh my gosh. So this is one of my worst tracks consistently. So I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing here?
What are you doing here? Well, let's talk about well, first the fact that you have Taylor Swift on your hood. I just now noticed that. That just gave me a good chuckle. But I mean, so we had a lot of really strong drivers here tonight. We had Aaron Smith, who was just turning lap after lap, just driving away from the field. And then right at the last 5 laps, all of a sudden he's out of the picture, and it's just you up there and James Miller, who also led some laps in the earlier stage of the race here. I mean, taking that green flag again for the final 2 laps of the race, I mean, what was going through your head knowing that you were just only 8 turns away from coming home with a win?
Well, I didn't expect it. Even the crossing the line, getting the win, I didn't expect it, because the reason I struggle here and I don't like it here is because I can't save tires at all. I just burn my tires off. And I actually found something this race I liked, but it pretty much only worked on long runs. So I was still worried at that last green-white checker, but I guess lucky for me, James, he kind of damaged his car a little bit, so I think that kind of ruined him for the final 2 corners. And then Aaron took himself out, and of course, like, Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrands. I mean, God, there were so many fast people. I shouldn't be here in victory lane.
Well, you definitely have some people cheering you on in the broadcast chat. Definitely happy to see you up here on the podium here tonight. But I mean, yeah, you know, I think it was almost a perfect storm of problems for drivers around you that, I mean, kind of played in your favor here tonight. I mean, probably not the way that you want to hear it, here coming home with a win, but I mean, you got to take them as they come to you. And I mean, having Aaron Smith be put out there in the final few laps, James Miller having a little bit of a tow problem with his car, I believe it was to his front right, Howie Briss and the rest of the field for that matter, everyone had some problems one way or another, and you were just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, Sean, this has got to give you some good momentum going forward into the rest of the season, and you have a break as well. You know, you don't have to worry about getting back into the seat next week. But the next race that we're going to,
Darlington, I
Darlington.
believe.
So, Darlington is another fun oval. How are you feeling about Darlington?
I love Darlington. Bring it. That track's amazing. I used to hate it, and then one day I drove it, and I was like, you know what? I love this place. And since then, I look forward to Darlington.
Well, with that in mind, and carrying this momentum into Darlington, are you feeling confident?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I'm usually pretty good at Darlington if I don't get wrecked or wreck myself or something. So yeah, I should have a good result. Maybe a top 5. That'd be nice.
Well, I wouldn't sell yourself too short, Sean. You did phenomenal tonight, and hey, you carry this forward into Darlington, I think very well that you could come home with another win after a performance like you had here tonight. It's just great to see the 89 machine up here. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time now, and we finally have it.
I got to win every season, and like a month ago or a couple months ago in Indianapolis, I really felt like that one barely got away from me. So it was nice to put another dub up on a season.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your first win of the 2022 season, especially at a track like Bristol Motor Speedway. It's got to be a great feeling for yourself. But before I let you go and crack open a bottle and celebrate here tonight, Sean, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the booth that you want to in the pit crew, that you want to shout out and thank before you go tonight?
First off, I'd like to thank Tony for putting on the league, and man, he was so fast tonight. He really got screwed there at the end. Yeah, thanks to him putting on the league. Everybody who shows up in races every week, you for broadcasting. I love watching these broadcasts. You do an awesome job. And everybody who watches the broadcast, my stream, anybody else in the league who's streaming, everybody who just watches and tunes in. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here tonight, Sean, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get to talk to you again in 2 weeks at Darlington.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mason.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
You too.
All righty, folks, that is Sean Williams out of the booth here tonight with the win for the hot and spicy 250, the first win of the 89 drivers season here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. That is going to conclude our coverage here tonight of race number 26 of the VRL Cup Series. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. I want to thank each and every single one of you that has tuned in and enjoyed the race here tonight. Thomas Sewell, Don Hilbrands, thank you both for chatting along with us, with me, and enjoying the race here tonight, as well as everyone else silently watching along and enjoying the race here tonight. Thank each and every single one of you. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So again, thank you all. If you enjoyed what you saw, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. And I will see you all, not next week, but in 2 weeks, same time, same place, for the race at Darlington for the Southern 300, and it will also be a crown jewel race. So drivers that are eligible will have a chance to win an extra $100 if they come home with the win. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you all enjoyed what you saw. I look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.